All right. Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Skinny Truth. I am joined by my amazing co host, Laura Fluchet. And today we're going to do a topic on how the expert does the job. And we are not talking about surgery this time. In fact, this has nothing to do with surgery. We're going to dive into how does Laura do her job. And so that will be, you have amazing content and you're literally insta famous at this point.
Oh, goodness.
And so I think there's a lot of people that want to know, what's your daily life look like? How do you do what you do? So will be my very first question for you is how did you get started in this?
Well, as simple as it is, my bariatric surgery is what kind of propelled me into this journey. I created my Instagram account literally 3 days before my surgery. And my very first post was something about you have to trust the magic of new beginnings. That's my very first post on my page. And little did I know what would transpire over the course of my journey. But I just created my Instagram because I didn't want to bombard my Facebook, like my personal Facebook, with updates on my journey. But I knew there were people in my life that wanted to follow along. So I was like, I'll create an Instagram and I'll post on there. I had no idea that there was even like a bariatric following on Instagram. Like before my surgery, I had no idea.
Like a society of
right
surgeons and patients and different So okay, that's great. You can create an Instagram page, right? But when you start, you have 0 people,
right?
0, right? So that's square. That's the bottom of the bottom,
right?
How did you get to 660,000 followers?
Yeah. So I think the simple answer is I had videos go viral. I think that's first. I had the very first one I remembered, because if you go back to the very beginning from like January to like June of my first year, I wasn't like super great about posting. It was just like here and there I would post some things. Well, it was in June. We were in Hawaii. And all of a sudden, I was getting these notifications like new followers, new followers. I'm like, what is happening? And I had this random video of me walking down the street with some inspirational thing on it go viral. And after that, I was like, like
on Instagram.
On Instagram.
Okay.
And I was like, maybe I should run with this and I'll just start posting more. And I just started posting more. I was consistent 2 times a day, and it just kind of has evolved into what it is now.
One of the things that in my opinion, that's so special about you and what you do is you have all of this before footage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And when you talk about bariatric surgery patients, they generally don't have very much at all because they don't want to take the pictures or do the videos.
Right.
So how did you have so much?
Well, I don't really. I mean, so if you look back, a lot of those before videos, the leopard, the infamous leopard outfit, that picture was taken like 2 days after my consult with you guys. I had gone to Walmart and I liked that outfit. It was a size 4X. And I was like, I'm going to buy it and see, like, as I lose weight, how it fits. And so that I took that like 2 or 3 days after my consult. I have to search. I'll go back on my phone and like search, and I can find bits and pieces of pictures of me, but they're not great pictures because I didn't want them taken, really. Yeah. But the minute I found out I was having surgery, I was like, take all the pictures, because I knew I would want before and afters.
Yeah, that's all. And that would be, when you say that's probably the best advice
before even if you're not going to be sharing your journey, take the before pictures, because I was just talking about this the other day on my live. I went live on Instagram, and somebody's like, I've lost 60 pounds. Nobody can tell. Like, how do you get through that? And I'm like, that is so real, because I had lost like 100 pounds, and it wasn't even that noticeable yet. And
Right.
so, but if you have a before picture to compare to, you're like, okay, like I can see this difference. And that keeps you going.
You know, we see that a lot in our support group with patients that will post and they're always commenting like, I can't see it, but
Mm-hmm.
when I look at back at this picture, now I can see. And then everybody gets on, is like, okay, you need glasses if you can't see the
Right.
difference. But
Yeah.
well, then how did you learn to post and edit and just somebody teach you? Were you self-taught? Did you take classes? What happened there?
It's all self-taught. I pretty much use Instagram. I get asked that a lot. Like, what do you use to edit your videos? I pretty much use Instagram for everything. The only thing that I do outside of Instagram is if I'm doing like graphics, and Canva is an excellent app for that. And then if I'm
Right.
putting captions on my videos, I'll use a caption app. But besides that, I do everything within Instagram. And it's just kind of trial and error. Like I had to learn. If you go back to the beginning, my videos have gotten a lot better through over the course of 3 years.
Yeah,
So
that is for sure. I mean, that's true, I guess, of any kind of marketing that you do.
yeah,
I look back at some of the stuff we've done in 17 years and just,
the beginning stuff, you're like, oh
no,
my gosh.
like
Yeah.
it's just embarrassing. It's like, what?
Right.
I can't believe we paid somebody to tell us to take a picture like that.
Right. Yeah. It's like so cringy to watch. Yeah.
Well, how do you come up with your ideas? And not just like, because for a lot of people, they don't want to post something that they're unsure about if people will like it. Because, it seems to all be based on how many likes, the likes and the views. So
Mm-hmm.
how do you decide, how do you come up with your ideas?
So, well, speaking of like views and likes, first you've got kind of got to get, I mean, I know that we do think about that, but you also have to get that out of your head. Because I saw a quote the other day and it's like what social media has turned us into. Like, if we had 18 people comment on something positive, like in our real life, we would be floored for that. Like 18 people saying,
Right.
like, this is great. But then in the world of social media, if we only have 18 people, we think that that's a failure, which is so
Right.
true. So you have to like kind of get that out of your head. And also another thing, I don't know if you guys listen to Mel Robbins ever, but she is so inspirational. Like just so, I listen to her stuff a lot. And she's like, you have to do it for you, nobody else. Post
Right.
what you post for you. Don't worry about the teacher or your neighbor or your friend. You are posting it for you. And so I
Right.
really do like try to say that in my head. Like, I'm posting this for me because I like this and I think that it will help somebody. And if people don't like it, they don't like it. And it is what it is. But as far as ideas, sometimes like they just come to me like randomly. I'm like, oh, this would be like a really good one. Sometimes I'll just scroll Instagram and I get ideas from other creators as well. Like I'll
Right.
see things,
Right.
trending things. It's just a little bit of everything.
Well, it's an interesting point, I guess, in the 18 likes, because think about if you went to work and you had 18 people say, oh, I really liked your
Yeah.
dress today.
Mm-hmm.
You would be super excited about that.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. And, I think that it's a different topic, but it's where so many of our young people and teenagers
Mm-hmm.
get their self-worth from the likes and the comments. And
I can't imagine being.
I guess that's the trap to stay out of.
Yeah, it
Just
is.
not worry about
It's
it.
hard. And not try to compare yourself to others, which I mean, I can sit here and say this all day, and I'm going to be honest, I do compare myself to others too, but it's not a good trap you want to get into because you just have to do the best for you and not
So if you
worry
get
about
one-
what people think.
So if you get one, let's say, because this is the trap I fall into, that we'll post to patients before and after that I'm really proud of that person and I think it's mind-blowing, but
Mhm.
it doesn't get that many likes, and I always go back and go, well, what was it that people didn't like about that? So do you,
Mhm.
and I guess a lot of times it could be the algorithm or the way social
Yeah.
media is, but do you go through that process?
I do like sometimes, but they'll say this. The ones that I'm like, this is awful. I don't want to post this. It's not going to do anything. It goes like the most viral of everything.
Right.
So there's no like, literally, there's no rhyme or reason. I do think for me, the before and afters are, I mean, a lot of times those are the ones that go viral just because transformations, like people see my
Right.
before and after are so different. I mean, the internet thinks I'm two different people half the time when they go viral. They're like, that's not the same girl. I'm like, I guess that's a compliment.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. I think it's AI did something.
Yeah. But yeah,
Okay.
there's just no rhyme or reason to what goes and what doesn't.
So post it and live with
Post it and go. And don't
Yep.
worry about if people like it or not. And also, if you're getting into it, you got to have a backbone. I'm just going to say that. Like,
Well, so
there's
that's my
so
next
much.
question.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How have you decided to handle the negative comments? Because I will say I have found myself arguing with people that post negatively about you
Mm-hmm.
on there. It's just like some of the nasty, most vile stuff. And you just want to reach to the phone and wring a neck. But, I finally, for me, said, well, I mean, she's not getting upset about this on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess I'm not going to either. But I know it gives me pause when I see stuff.
Yeah.
So how do you deal with it?
It's hard. So I grew up, my dad was in sports broadcasting. He was in the public eye. And there's a lot of people in Kansas City that didn't like my dad because he was very opinionated in sports.
Right.
He told it like it was. He gave his opinion, and people don't like that. And so that helps because my dad is, I'll just talk to my dad and he's like, do not give those people the time of day. Like, what people say about you says more about them than it does about you. But I will say, I'm human. And so when you read these things, you're just like, sometimes it does get to me, but I have to quickly be like, it's not about me. This is about them. Jealousy speaks a lot in those kinds of things. And I just try to ignore it as best as I can.
Okay, good. Yeah, I think it's easy to say and hard to practice,
Exactly.
but I probably have gotten more there in my surgeons probably tend to be more like sportscasters and
right. Yeah,
say their
and
opinions.
It's better to just sometimes just ignore them. Like, I just try to ignore the comments, don't say anything. Instagram isn't as bad as Facebook. Facebook is awful. Like, I basically on Facebook post and ghost is what I say. And I don't really respond to a lot of comments because I just can't read them. There's the things people say. I guess this is my reminder too to anybody listening, be kind. Like, don't say so. What did our mom say? Like, if you don't have something nice to say, don't say it at all.
Right.
Like, right. There's things I scroll on social media and I'm like, don't agree with, or I don't like, but I don't comment on it. Like, I just move on with my life.
Okay, so here's my next question for you. Every time I try to do this, I'm always holding the phone filming me. Who is doing your filming?
Well, it's either me or a tripod or Luke Fluchet. He's my personal, employee or whatever, but he does a lot. But honestly, I feel like I probably do most of it. I have tripods, set my phone up a lot of times on things.
Okay, so like when you're the one you did recently, where you're in the grocery store, or I think that's where you were, you're somewhere in public.
Okay.
And do you set a tripod up?
No.
Okay.
I don't do that in public. There are some creators that will do that. I get I was in Costco, I bet. Luke is filming me in there. Okay. And I get very weirded out about it still. Like, I don't want people to see me, and it's just uncomfortable.
Yeah. Well, doing that in public, but that's some of the best stuff.
Yeah.
So Luke is your main guy though. Like when you're at the gym. When you're at the gym, is that him too?
Yep, that's him. Yep. There are people though at the gym that will set up tripods. Like, I see them do it, but I haven't do it. I just got though a really nifty camera the other day. I can't think of what it's called. I don't know. Anyways, it's really cool. I can like set it up and not, because what I'm finding is I like bombard my phone with so much video.
Right.
And so I'm trying to not do that as much. So I got this new camera that can like, it's on a tripod. It's really cool. So that'll be my new photographer.
And you'll get that onto Instagram somehow?
Yeah, it goes to my phone and
Okay.
then I can put it on Instagram. But then I can delete it off my phone and it'll stay on the camera.
Okay. So one of the other things that I like the best about kind of what you do is you will put up stuff, with you, whether you are just rolling out of bed, or going to bed or sweaty. And so, there are people like me that I start freaking out if a hair is out of place. And so I think I would say that's probably one of the reasons that people really love your stuff. So how do you get past that? I need to look, my best to be on there versus just real.
That's not anything that's ever like really crossed my mind. I just don't care like about that stuff. Like I just
Like the
don't
bathroom
care.
stuff when you're doing the makeup. And
Yeah.
there's so many women that would be like, I don't want to be seen without my makeup on.
Which honestly just surprises me. I don't know. Like I really don't care. I feel like though that is important. If you want to be on Instagram and like you want to be authentic. People
Right.
want to relate to you. Someone that only can be in their makeup and dolled up is unrelatable to a lot of people. Whether or not you think so or not. Like I just feel like we all go to bed, we all wake up with bedhead, we all so it's relatable. People are like, okay, like, and with my kids in the background and my stuff the other day, I had a picture and there were goggles on the floor and I don't remember stuff all over the floor. I'm like, this is my life. Like, I have
Yeah.
4 kids and it's just life.
Well, that is real. I mean, just and that's, I guess, what do you do like when you're filming something and you think it's going to be great? And then the dog goes by or starts barking. I mean, do you ever like
Yeah, I'll
you
be
just
like,
roll
gosh,
it?
dang it.
Yeah.
No. I'm like, stop, be quiet, go, and push them out. But most of the time, I feel like but there are times like that something, or the kids start fighting. Like if I'm really trying to do something good, I'm not going to post my kids fighting. Do my kids fight? Absolutely, they fight. They drive me
Yeah.
nuts sometimes. But yeah.
Well, that's something to get past too. I probably have a little PTSD. Was doing a live for our support group during COVID, when there's nothing else to do. And then one of my kids flushed the toilet in the background and I was like,
Oh, oh my gosh.
So now I try to go upstairs and away from
You're like
all,
far away.
all possibilities of what could really happens in a house with 3 girls and a wife.
That's
So,
hilarious. Yep.
well, what would be, to wrap up, what would be your best advice to somebody looking to become? Well, I have 2 questions. That's your last question. About how many hours a day do you spend doing this?
That's a good question. Pretty much from the time I wake up to the time I go to bed, like my life revolves kind of around Instagram. I'm not creating content all day long, but I am at least every hour getting on my phone, looking at messages, trying to respond to some messages because I get so many.
Right.
And so that is also something that's very important to me, is to try to interact and communicate with people as much as I can, because I do. That's what makes this space so great, is being able to connect with other people. And but I would say, as far as like creating content or reels or whatever, I would say, I don't know, 2 to 3 it just depends on the day. Like
Right.
now I'm doing like a newsletter thing, so I have that I have to do 1 day a week. When I work with brands, a lot of brands like content to be pre-recorded so they can approve it.
Right.
So I have those that I do throughout the week. And that's in addition to like the reels and the stuff that I make just for my page. So
it's a full-time job.
it is. And
Yeah.
I get a lot of there's people that give me gripe about that online too. Like, that's not a job, but It truly is a
putting
job.
putting stuff together, because I like to do it for surgical videos or different reels. I basically had to have my daughters show me how to do it, and trying to get it just perfect, it takes time. I mean, it
It
really
does.
does take time. It's like I could have done a duodenal switch in the amount of time it's
Right.
taken me to edit this reel. So
Yeah.
what would be your last best advice to somebody looking to grow their Instagram?
I get this question a lot. And my best advice is to show up authentically, be yourself, don't try to be someone else, and be consistent. It's like with anything, consistency over perfection. We say that in our weight loss journey, but it also applies to so many other aspects of our life. Be consistent. And if it's something, it's not going to happen overnight. I've been doing this now for 3 years. So it's not going to be like 2 weeks and all of a sudden you have like a big following. And also, I want to point
Yeah,
out and
good
make a
point.
point. It doesn't matter how many followers you have. You could have 1 million followers, but if you have followers that aren't engaging and don't like your content, it doesn't matter. You want people there and engaging with you and participating. That's what matters. So,
Yeah, and I think the at least in the world of bariatrics, it's seems to be a, I don't know if you can say this, but a tighter knit kind of
yes.
community, because
Yeah.
people know and understand the journey, and so
Right.
well, it's
Yep.
definitely been fun to watch.
Yes, it's been fun to watch it unfold for myself too. All right, guys. Well, that was fun. Something a little bit different. But as always, thank you for listening, subscribing, liking. You can find us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify. And as always, we will see you next week. We'll talk to you later.